6:05, we do have four.
How the folks doing?
It's tenuous, sir. There's a lot of people upset, as you're well aware of.
We're live now.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't know we were dead.
Thank you, General Manager. All right,
Opening
so,
with a joke. So,
yep. Carla,
Yeah.
I'm calling the meeting to order. And if you would please call the roll.
yes,
Rob, did I say
sir.
Carla?
You said Carla. I was going to say, okay.
I'm looking at I'm multitasking. I'm looking at the agenda and I'm speaking at the same time. Robin, if you would call the roll call, please.
Yes, let me just have 1 second here. I will tell you that I know that members Fultz and Porter will not be joining us tonight.
Thank you.
So you just get the thing up here real quick. Go. Okay, so we have Member Jacobson.
Here.
Member Lewis.
Here.
Member Sparlingwood.
Here.
Member Rockwell. Appears not to be with us tonight.
He is not.
Oh, okay. And Member Davis.
Here.
Okay, Member Crow
Here.
and Chair Wheeler.
Here.
Okay, and we are aware that members Porter and Fultz will not be joining us, as they notified me of that earlier today.
Thank you so much. Moving on to consent items. May I have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Moved by Member Jacobson. May I have a second, please? Second to the approval of the consent agenda, please.
I second.
Thank you, Member Lewis. Any member discussion?
Point of order, though. I don't think Teresa can second it because she and I are not voting members.
I did not second it.
Oh, you didn't second
No.
it?
I did not.
Oh,
And I am.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You are voting member?
Yes. We have 4 voting members. No.
Oh,
Member Lewis is a voting member. Thank you.
sorry.
Under member comments, I will note for the board that I found a few typos in the minutes from the last meeting. I've discussed this with Robin. She has a list. There's nothing substantive, but she's going to update those. And if there is no other discussion from the members, all those in favor, please.
Wait, excuse me, you need to take public comment on the motion. Yes, you do.
Robin, we have someone making public comment here. Barry, you ready? Go ahead, Mr. Scott, please.
Well, thank you for pushing the button to limit me to 3 minutes. I'll try and keep it short, given your disdain from hearing from the public. With respect to the adoption of the consent agenda, Commissioners, the purpose of the Utility Advisory Board is to advise the City Commission, to discuss items openly in a public forum. The fact that all these items are on a consent agenda illustrates your abdication of your role. How can you advise if you rubber stamp? So I respectfully request that these items be removed for discussion, the consent agenda. I mean, they're important items. Certainly the UAB doesn't seem to take interest in the affairs of the utility. Certainly there's numerous questions that could be asked in relation to all these items. Mr. Chairman, if you lack the capacity to ask those questions, then it should be reserved for the public to ask questions about our utility. We, GRU customers, have to pay for these things, these expenses. I think we should have a say and the opportunity to ask questions regarding the governance of our utility. There was a push to have an independent governing board for the utility, but many of you, as well as the City Commission, said, oh, no, you don't want to vote for that because they'll raise your rates. Well, City Commission raised GRU electric rates by 24%. No one seemed to have a problem with that. So I would hope that these items would be removed from the consent agenda so we could have a discussion so that you could do your job that you are appointed to do, which is to advise. You're an advisory board, not a rubber stamp. And I hate to have to say it that way, but I certainly would hope there would be some capacity or willingness on the part of the UAB to ask these important questions that need to be asked. Likewise, too, I'd like to have assurances when we get to the adoption of the agenda that we're going to be able to speak on agenda items like the City Commission allows, rather than have to deal with the tyrannical rule of the chairman that doesn't want to hear from the public, that takes its time to attend these meetings. So again, in summary, I would respectfully request that you remove the items from the consent agenda and have an intelligent discussion about some of these items or ask some questions. That's what you're appointed to do. Otherwise, the Utility Advisory Board is merely a waste of taxpayer money and GRU's time. And I'll reserve my 25 seconds early, Mr. Chair, so you're not annoyed with my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Is there any further public comment? Do we have any public comment online?
No, Mr. Chair, there is no public comment at this time. The floor is
Thank
yours.
you so much. So we have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. We've had public comment. Would all those in favor please say aye? Aye, voting member. All those opposed say nay. It passes unanimously. Thank you. Next agenda item is adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion, please? We have Member Jacobson has moved. May I have a second, please? Second. And a second from Member Lewis. Is there any discussion of the agenda by the members? Is there any public comment?
Yes, there is.
Mr.
Apparently, we're not sanitizing the podium, so I think I'll survive being fully vaccinated and wearing a mask. Mr. Chair, with respect to the adoption of the agenda, particularly in reference to item 210285, GRU operational update for the month of July 2021, the last meeting I appeared, and you tyrannically would not allow public comment on an agenda item. So with respect to the adoption of this agenda item, before it's approved and discussed, I would like your assurances that you will allow the public to comment on this agenda item. The public deserves opportunity to be heard on items discussed in the public forum, each agenda item. So perhaps you can allow me, Chairman Wheeler, the professional courtesy to ask questions to an operational update where clearly you did not ask questions before. You seem to lack the capacity to ask intelligent questions. The point at issue last time was that GRU represented, when they did the fuel upgrade to Deerhaven 2, that that upgrade would allow Deerhaven 2 to run on 100% natural gas. Then you wouldn't let me ask that question when they came before you last month and basically stated, nope, it's not going to reach 224 megawatts. That was kind of interesting, and I wanted to ask some intelligent questions about that, but you, of all people, lacking any engineering expertise or anything or utility experience, denied me the opportunity as a former state utility regulator and GRU customer to ask an intelligent question. And I told you, and I kept my word, that I would comment upon your tyrannical behavior as chairman of this UAB before the city commission, and I did. And I pointed out that clearly you claim that you want to hear from the public, but you don't. Now, at that meeting, GRU represented, no, we never represented the fact that that conversion would be 100% natural gas, which is false. It's not what they told the Florida Public Service Commission in the 10-year site plan. They represented Deerhaven 2 as a base load unit, 224 megawatts, and the conversion would allow it to fire on 100% natural gas. So every one of Mr. Brown's statements that he made to the city commission when I basically pointed out how egregious you are in not hearing from the public on this important issue, every one of those items were rebuked by the transcript where GRU actually represented, when it sought approval of that before the UAB and the city commission, that it did represent, in fact, that it would be able to fire on 100% natural gas. And so in this operational update, which will be in this agenda, they now recede from Mr. Brown's prior statement and actually state for the fact that they've reached this capacity. And I would like the opportunity to comment on that, and I would like you to allow me to comment, and I'd like your assurance you'll allow me to comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Mr. Scott, you have no more or less rights than any other public member to speak when the allotted time comes per our rules. I don't care how many public service commissions you've served on, we have rules and we will follow them. Thank you. Is there any more citizen comment?
How are you doing?
Okay, if there's no more citizen comment, may I have all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. And motion passes. Very good. Let's begin with the GRU operational update for the month of July. And, no, citizen comment.
Oh, yes. Don't wanna
So,
go-
yes, we do have citizen comment. Please go ahead, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nathan Scott. It's nice to be admonished by somebody with far less professional experience than me in life. Makes me feel very humble. As this commission is aware, and it was brought up at the last UAB meeting, County Commission denied the Regis permit for the project, Sand Bluff Solar Project. Unfortunately, despite the fact that project was opposed by the NAACP, the City of Archer, Sierra Club, and despite overwhelming community and public opposition to that project, out-of-town developer continues to torment the historic rural African-American community and property owners. They continue to try and put this on the same location. I'm not going to get into specific details, but they persistently, despite that denial, continue to do that. Now, I think that the mayor and the city commission need to hear from the utility advisory board on this important matter. That this board truly cares about racial equity, environmental injustice, environmental racism, then I would respectfully request it to be appropriate for the utility advisory board to vote tonight to recommend to the city commission that at its next meeting, it approve a resolution directing its out-of-town solar developer, Regis, to stop tormenting a historic rural African-American community in Archer and find a more appropriate location to site its project. So, Mr. Chair, the onus falls on you and this commission. You have the ability to be on the right side of history or to sit silent. And if these important racial equity concerns are not important to you and you're going to allow GRU and the city commission and the UAB is going to sanction tormenting historic rural African-American community, then that's on you. But I would respectfully request you approve that motion. And in my remaining time, if you look at the some things that you probably won't let the public speak on and you won't look at, if you look at the monthly update, you'll see that GRU renewable generation, despite claiming 30% renewables, now down to 24%, making up the difference with hundreds of thousands of megawatts more of coal-fired generation, natural gas-fired generation. And then you look at the Deer Haven generating unit. I'm sure there won't be any discussion of that because there's no desire to hear from people that are capable of asking important, intelligent questions that have financial impact on our utility. But if you think you're doing the right thing and you think it really matters, then 5 debt downgrades since 2012 speaks for itself. 24% rate increases speak for themselves. So I'd like this commission or this advisory board to make a motion tonight to stand
Thank you
in
for your
support
time,
of the
Mr.
Archer.
Scott. Mr. Scott,
Archer.
your time is up. Would you please leave the podium? Please. Thank you.
So rude.
Are there any other member comments from in the room or from outside?
Chair, there's nobody on the outside in the queue to make comments at this time.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, we'll have member comments later, unless you have, this is citizen comment time. State of the utility, Mr. Brown, please. Mr. Cunningham, please.
Good evening. My name is Tony Cunningham. I am the water wastewater officer for GRU. I'm sitting in for Tom Brown, the chief operating officer. So I'm just going to give a brief. I know you all have looked at the state of the utility, highlighting a few things. One is the Kelly Generating Station new unit number 8 turbine and generator were fully commissioned in July. The Deer Haven Generating Station unit 2 retrofit to dual fuel. They had the unit up to 175 megawatts thus far on natural gas. Next week, the week of the 16th, they are going to tune the unit in preparation for a test run of 100% natural gas. So up to now, it has been combined fuel with coal, but it's going to be tuned to be 100% natural gas next week. In energy delivery, they are working on the response to the gas rebate and marketing questions that I believe your board is asking to bring back. So they are working on that. with the intent to bring that back to the board at the next meeting. And then I will tell you on the water, wastewater side, if you look at your report, we actually have a red line item, which means more than caution. It means there's a challenge there. So I just want to take a few minutes to tell you. So we have a very stretch goal in water wastewater concerning SSOs.
You are now a host.
The national average for SSOs per 100 miles, we try to achieve less than half of that average. We have not achieved that this year. That is primarily due, most of our SSOs are due to non-flushables and grease in our system. But this year we also, and particularly this past month, we've had 2 overflows due to wet weather and 2 that were due to third-party damage, which is basically like a contractor runs into our system or digs and hits our system. And so those are things we're continuing to try to improve on. The non-flushables and grease are a lot of education. That's mostly, it's keeping it out as far upstream as possible, keeping it out of our system. But we do a lot of cleaning, and we've increased the amount of cleaning we do in our lines. But it's it's 800 miles of lines, and so even increasing the cleaning, it takes a long time to kind of get through the system if there is grease or other blockages like that. And so just wanted to kind of give you an update on where we are on that. It's unfortunate where we are for the year, and trying to continue to do things to improve that. So that's the update I have. If there are more specific questions on the energy side, Dino DeLeo and Gary Basinger are both on the line and available to answer questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Board members, do you have any questions? I do have one. We're anticipating a lot of wet weather this weekend. Is there something you can do in advance to try and head off some of these weather-related SSOs?
Yep, so that's a really good question. So in Elsa, when Elsa came through, we had some significant areas where there was significant flooding that occurred, very severe flooding. And so in some of those areas, we are going there just to make sure there aren't anything restricting the flow in those areas. So there are, we are able to do that. We are also, in a couple of those areas, we have added the ability to pump more water. So what happens in the wastewater system, stormwater is not supposed to get in the system, but when there's severe flooding, it gets in the system. Pumps aren't designed to pump all of that flow. And so what we've been able to do in a couple of those acute areas is add the ability to basically pump more flow. And we're actually renting a pump to be that additional pump with the intent to purchase one in the future and to have that essentially like on a trailer to be able to move around in different locations.
So you move it to hot spots where it's
we know the hot spots, especially depending, but it depends on flooding, right? So we know those hot spots. The other thing I will tell you is the 30 days leading up to Elsa, we had over 22 inches of rain in certain parts of our system, and those are the parts where we had the challenges. So 22 inches of rain, to put it in perspective, that's almost half the rain we typically get in an entire year. And so what happened is it saturated the soil, so that essentially the next drop of rain that came during Elsa was floodwater. It had nowhere to infiltrate into the ground. Unfortunately, we're still in that condition today. So with Fred coming this weekend, if Fred gets here and it has that impact, it's going to be similar, where flooding is going to begin immediately as the rainfall occurs. And so that is going to be a challenge. We're prepared with extra folks on standby and ready to pump more water, haul more water as we did during Elsa, but I think it's still going to be a significant challenge.
Member Jacobson.
Just real quick, I'm just curious, what's the major way that the stormwater gets into our system?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. So you have what's called either inflow or infiltration. So inflow is anything that's coming on the surface and like getting into a manhole. So let's say a manhole has a little notch, or there are situations where someone might remove a manhole to drain a parking lot, or so those types of things can happen from the surface. And then infiltration is when if your pipe has little cracks or roots have broken in, then as the water table rises and it gets above that, that's just going to flood into your system. So those are the two ways. We do a lot of things to check for that. Smoke testing is something you do to check for inflow, where you force smoke into the system, and then if it finds its way out, that's a route that flow can go in. So we find those and fix those. We just did a pretty massive kind of smoke testing throughout our system. And then we do a lot of TV inspection of our system with closed circuit TVs to look for all those cracks and crevices and joints that might be places to come in, and inspect manholes to see, like on the sides of manholes. You know, we have old manholes that are brick manholes that, you know, if the grout has a little thing, and so we inspect those, and then we can line those manholes or replace them. So we do a lot of that, but it's an overwhelming task from the amount of infrastructure that we own, like 15,500 manholes and 800 miles of pipe. And so, you know, we kind of systematically work our way through the system and trying to stay ahead of that. Mm-hmm.
Are there any other board member questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you.
And moving on next to new business, to
We're not gonna
updates
take,
to lighting.
Mr. Chair, we're not
No,
gonna
Mr.
take
Scott,
public
there's
comment
no
on the
public
agenda.
comment.
It's an
There's
agenda
no
item.
public comment.
It's an agenda
I'm
item.
asking you to please sit down.
I'm asking
We
to
only
make
have
public comment on an agenda
motions.
item.
We had this discussion last month. Please sit down.
Why are you not taking public comment on
Mr.
an
Scott,
agenda
would you
item?
please
I'm just
sit
asking
down?
for the record. Why are you not taking?
At the last meeting, it was explained to you that we have public comment on motions, not on staff reports.
So the public,
Mr. Scott.
GRU customers should not be entitled to ask a question
I
about an
am reading
operational
from
update?
our procedures. I am asking
You have the
that you are-
discretion to take
your
public
time has
comment,
expired,
Mr.
and I will
Chair.
please ask you to leave the podium.
My time hasn't started. How can it
Your
expire?
chair will inform the person causing the disruption that their actions are contrary to the orderly running of the meeting.
It's not a disruption,
You
Mayor-
are
Mr.
now been
Chairman.
informed that your actions are contrary to the orderly running of the
Mr.
meeting.
Chairman, I'm asking for
Would you
a
please
response as a
sit
point of order.
down?
Please step
Would you
down.
please
What does
sit
that mean?
down?
What does that mean?
Mr. Scott,
What does that mean?
the chair is now revoking the person's participation to attend the meeting and directs that the person leave the meeting site.
Sir,
Thank you.
you are the most
Will
unprofessional
you
person
please
I've seen
leave
in the city of
meeting
Gainesville.
site, Mr. Scott? The chair will inform the person that if the person is directed to leave and fails to do so, the person will be subject to arrest for trespass. So please leave the meeting. You have disrupted. Please leave the meeting. In substantially the following words, I, the chair, inform you that your actions are inconsistent with the orderly function of this meeting and fail to comply with the lawful order of the chair. I am instructing the Sergeant at Arms to have you removed from this meeting site, and if deemed necessary by the Sergeant at Arms, to remove you from the building.
Who's the Sergeant at Arms?
Staff is not here, so I am doing it myself. We have two police officers here. With the police officers, please remove. Please.
Seriously, guys?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Scott. I appreciate it. Thank you. What's that? Oh, do we need to reset what?
Recess.
Recess. Oh, all right, so let's recess the meeting for how long? For 30 seconds?
Yeah, give me a minute to get back there and.
Sure. The meeting is recessed for 1 minute. My apologies to the board members if that was necessary. I kept asking him to sit down and he wouldn't. Thank you so much. So we are back from recess. We're moving on to new business. Item 210280, updates to lighting program within the City of Gainesville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 27 and Appendix A. Who do we have from staff presenting this issue, please?
Hello, can you hear me okay?
I can
This
hear
is
you.
Casey Kraus. Hello.
Good evening,
Good
Stacy.
evening. So I'm going to be sharing a screen, so let me make sure it's working okay. Okay, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. Is the presentation going to be shown to you guys separately, or do I need to share my screen?
Robin?
It was attached.
Sorry, Casey, I will fix that.
Okay, no problem.
If I can figure out how.
We could hear you sigh, Robin.
I'm sorry, I get this wrong every single time, and I apologize.
Quite all right.
You are consistent.
Well, yeah, I guess you can give me that. So. Meeting settings. Does someone with apparently more knowledge than I know how to do that?
So, Robin, if you can show your list of participants.
Uh-huh.
And I think if you right-click on Casey's name, you may be able to give her host rights at least, or maybe able to share.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, Casey, see if that will do it.
Okay, I'll try again. There we go. That looks better.
Thank you. Was that Darius? Thank you.
That was.
There we go. We do see it.
Okay. So, good evening, Chairman Wheeler and members of the UAB. I am Casey Kraus, lead analyst in energy delivery for GRU. With me today is my co-lead for this agenda, Kelly Rose. Kelly is a technical support specialist senior in energy delivery for GRU. Kelly has the technical, material, and customer account knowledge that I may call upon if you have questions regarding this presentation. Kelly and I are before you today because GRU leadership asked us to thoroughly evaluate the GRU lighting program within energy delivery. We are here now to present those findings. Roadway and rental lighting is one of those necessities in our community that often go unrecognized unless there are outages or inconsistencies. GRU has a lighting program that provides both roadway lighting for the city and county, also referred to as public lighting, and rental lighting, which refers to anything from city parking lots, rec and parks, to apartment complexes and one-off properties. In this presentation, you'll hear me refer to the Mass Changeout Program, or MCO. Information on this program can be found on gru.com. In general, this program initiated the transition to more energy efficient lighting, reducing carbon emissions via scheduled lighting replacements at lower price points to customers due to the bulk purchasing of materials and proactive crew scheduling. This program not only saves energy, but it adds to the beautification of our community by standardizing lighting in areas so that lighting colors do not alternate as you drive through the community. This program began in FY 2018. I will now begin going through the presentation with you. Looking at the timeline, energy delivery reviews lighting and pole rates annually with the budget process. These revenues are built into the BFA rate design, and a presentation for the lighting alone is not the standard. Pole rates have remained unchanged for 13 years. In FY 2020, same as every year, energy delivery made lighting rate increases, but also made pole rate increases that had been postponed for 13 years. Due to customer inquiries and direction from leadership, energy delivery rolled the FY 2020 rates back to the FY 19 rates with a commitment to review the internal processes, then follow up with City Commission when complete. This review was very thorough and included delegation to a new team, revised templates and establishment of business processes, due diligence in materials, standards, and lighting wattages, LED lighting analysis on maintenance and replacements with limited LED data available to us, establishment of new lighting material vendors, implementation of a 10-year warranty program on LED lighting that we did not have prior, analysis of the LED mass changeout program that I mentioned earlier, and overlapping efforts that collaborated with General Government Public Works to possibly transition their lighting from a private electrician to GRU's program, adding new material standards. I want to make sure I point out that transition is not built into this presentation except for the availability and price points for new material standards. If they choose to transition Public Works over to our program, they will have their own agenda item to ask for that change on their end. Our goals today are requesting no rate changes for non-LED lights, since our efforts are to fully implement highly efficient lighting. Ensure lighting and pole standards have billing rates that adequately recover our costs. The LED mass changeout program to continue, including public and also rental lighting going forward as budgets allow. New installations will continue at the standard rate, not an MCO rate for new installs. Continue to review rate elements annually, and continue with rate transparency by means of the city ordinance, GRU.com, and contract for rental services.
Kelly, before you move on, could you explain
Sure.
a little bit about that first item? What does that mean, no rate changes for not, how does that promote LED lights?
So for anyone who has still has older high pressure sodium lights, et cetera, that are still out there, we're not changing the rate for them. We're just keeping those rates the same. They're being grandfathered forward because the plan is for the MCO for us to go through and update those with LED. So they'll be changing as part of the MCO program.
So
Since they'll be going away anyway.
So you don't feel the need to change the rate because they won't be around much longer is what you're saying.
Exactly.
It doesn't provide an incentive to switch to LED.
Well, no, I don't guess there's really a particular incentive.
Okay, I was just curious as to how that worked. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I could interrupt here, Casey.
Okay.
I mean, I think a lot of those are kind of one-off types of situations where there's just particular circumstances. Chair Wheeler, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're not creating kind of an incentive to get off of it, but I would say it's de minimis. That would be the term that I would use.
Thank you. Yes, we do. Member Sterling Wood has a question.
I have a question. It says there, ensure lighting and pole standards have billing rates that adequately recover costs. So if somebody's been renting a light and a pole for 30 years, what is the recovered cost that needs to be? I'm kind of confused if they've been investing in that rental pole for 30 years.
You know, I can talk to that. One of the things you got to remember here, and you know, just yell at me, Casey, if I, you know, and you'll correct me when I'm wrong, but you're not paying just for that pole. You're paying for the service associated when that pole goes down, have replacement poles. That's being insured. You're being insured against future replacements. Did I say that correctly, Casey?
Right. Yes. there's a lot of pieces that roll into that. And so, yes, we do have risk and liability with it there. So we do have to be able to recover those costs and be able to maintain it, replace it, and keep them going in a timely manner.
Would it be possible to see how much a pole has been for 30 years versus what it costs to replace it? And the LED fixture that goes on it now, so that there would be an understanding of how much was invested by the renter and then how much it's costing to upgrade it?
Well, see, I would tell you that this is done on a portfolio type basis. In this particular situation, we're a rental company. And so we maintain portfolio of assets. So it's really a business model that you have to look at. You know, I mean, you raised a really interesting question, but it would be, you know, anyone that rents a home for a period of time where, in that particular case, the landowner recovers their costs, whatever it is, it doesn't transfer title to that renter. It's just not the way the system works. And it wouldn't work for poles as well. And again, you can correct me where I'm wrong, Casey.
No, that's accurate.
So how?
Well, that's 2 today I got right. Wow, I better stop.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
How often does a concrete pole have to be replaced, typically, unless a car drives into it in this area?
I don't think we do that type of information from a lectern or from a Zoom. We could get you that information, but I wouldn't want to answer that now.
Is that okay? Member Sperling, was that okay?
Okay.
So yes, the staff would follow up with Member Sperling would on that, please. Is that any further questions?
Sure.
No, that's it.
Thank you. So please, go ahead, Casey.
Okay. So next I'll show a current billing example. Using a billing example of January this year, we have a quantity of over 19,000 poles and over 33,000 lights. Combined, there's approximately $500,000 in billing revenue per month supporting this program.
So, those are monthly fees?
Member Sperlingwood has a question, and then someone else down, Member Jacobson does. So go ahead with your question, Member Sperlingwood.
That is monthly rental pole fees and rental light fees? What's?
Right, so this slide is showing the rentals, which the rental lights and poles could include apartment complexes or one-off residential properties, or it couldn't be even rec and parks or things like that, libraries. The public poles and lights, that's referring to the roadway lighting. So this slide is just showing you an example at a time point of January, the quantity, so you can get an idea for the size of this program.
Answer your question, Member Sperlingwood. Member Jacobson?
So on the public poles, first question is who's paying the bill? And then the second question is what do you mean by contributed poles?
Okay, so we go through our billing system here within GRU. So we have a lot of different customers that use this program. The public is referring to the city and the county. And then I do believe the city has programs with the state. Kelly could speak to that more directly, but if in general that answers your question, that would be what the public would be referring to as those roadway lighting. And then to explain the asterisk below, the contributed poles, there's no monthly billing rate because there's no lighting, there's no bulbs to change out, there's no maintenance that we really have to do to the poles. So if somebody wants to install a new light and pole and they want to pay a contributed rate, they could go ahead and pay the cash up front for that pole to be installed, and they won't have a billing rate for that. It's an option that if they want to rent that pole or if they want to pay a contributed rate and go ahead and pay for that. Lighting, on the other hand, if they pay a contributed rate for a light, they can pay some of the upfront bulk material and labor costs upfront. However, there is still a rate for the lighting because it does require maintenance and removal and other things that are related there.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay. As mentioned earlier, Kelly and I reviewed all the aspects of this program. The rate methodology combines all or a combination of the following: labor, materials, energy based on fixture wattage and hours, contributed prepayments, which we just talked about, how much they want to pay up front based on their options, the quantity in the field, the capital recovery, and revenue contributions to the general fund transfer. To see this rate methodology I just explained in a real example, I've provided the data shown here using a material rental light type L40 LED roadway. The rates, as you can see, the rates combine labor to install, remove, and maintain this light in these first two lines. The materials to install, remove, and maintain this light are listed here. The capital recovery and revenue to support the GFT are built in, and the energy based on this light type's fixture wattage and the electric energy rate at 12 hours per day. And then for a total rental rate of $24 per month for this particular light type.
Casey, we have a question from member Sterling Wood.
Okay.
Would this be considered the Cobra? When you say the roadway 3 gray, is that considered like the old Cobra style? The ones that reach out with the arm over the road?
That would be a question for Kelly.
Yes, that's what it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any further questions?
Thank you, Kelly.
Please proceed.
Okay. So I'd like to review how this program benefits the community. Public and rental customers are able to work directly with our engineers to discuss their needs and compare services and prices as an alternative to hiring private electricians with metered service. Quick repair responses within 7 business days of notice of outage. Rental contracts allow for minimal to no upfront cost options, contributed rate options, a 5-year contract with an exit clause, maintenance, competitive pricing, and reliable service. GRU carries the expense and risk of damages. And Mr. Bilarski mentioned this is a rental program, not a rent-to-own program. So this is a continuous program. We always have to look at the market today. The mass change-out program adds to city, county, and community beautification, safety, and consistency. The MCO program will result in long-life products in the field, requiring low maintenance and lower energy usage. Referring back to slide 4, I showed you earlier the January 2021 billing revenue. This slide shows 2 extra columns to your right. It also shows the proposed revenue if the FY22 rates are approved as we're requesting. The variance that this would bring is approximately $144,000 extra per month. And to reiterate, this is to cover our cost of service. I would also like to point out that the poles, recall from the first slides, that the poles have not been increased in 13 years. So there was a very long delay in that. So we really need to bring those back up to cost of service.
Member Sterling Wood has a question.
Okay. Can we leave this slide up?
Will we be getting the cost of the rental poles when we get that information later? What that cost is going to increase per pole?
We do have the spreadsheet that supports like all the different rate designs that we did for each type. So, you know, it is an extensive spreadsheet that we have. If you have specific questions about a particular rental light, because there's a lot on our program, Are you wanting to see one in particular?
May I suggest that Member Sperling would follow up with you directly after the meeting?
Sure.
On these, because you have questions about specific rentals, it sounds like.
Well, no, I just have a question. Like one school, I pay $1,400 a month rental fee for lights, and it's kind of curious how much that would go up if just the poles go up. Because that looks like a significant amount. That looks like the poles are going up almost double. Is that about an accurate?
Yeah, and the polls are going up significantly because it's been 13 years.
Okay.
You know, as far as the rates, it's not like, there's not like 4 rates shown here. There's not one rate for rental poles and one rate for rental lights. There's a lot of standards for, and it has a rate for each standard. And some went up and some went down when we did our analysis. It all was based on, you know, material prices. You know, Kelly's the specialist. She could talk better about that, but I know like with COVID, you know, there's a lot of prices that are going up for materials and things like that. Would you like to, Kelly, to speak on that more? Or do you want us to talk afterward?
We can talk afterward. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, so in summary, recommended adjustments are to align the public and rental lighting and pole rates with cost of service, align lighting rates with electric energy rates, assign the light fixture wattage for energy rate calculations, add lighting and pole fixtures to standards, and remove lighting and pole fixtures from standards. And this is what we are recommending and asking that you vote on tonight.
Do I have any questions or comments by UAB members? Mr. Davis?
Yes, I'm just curious, as a owner of a couple office buildings that I bought, and I inherited some rental poles, and all I did was change the utility account. I never signed any contract. No one ever offered me any options on the pole. So when you bring these rate changes out and people realize the difference in the cost, they may want to purchase poles, that kind of thing. Will there be an option for the public, private owners of poles who are renting poles to actually buy the poles, or to come up with some other way of offsetting the additional cost?
So I guess I'll point out 2 things. One is, besides the poles not going up for 13 years, the lighting does change every year, that pricing. So it's not a new thing that the rates do shift every year. They shift with, you know, when the electric energy rate is approved every year. It's built into the revenue base that the budget finance accounting department brings to you when they're coming for energy rates. The second part is that the way the program works is that for new construction, if they come for a new request, we can offer, you know, we offer that we have them sign the contract, and we can offer contributed rate options. Once it's already in service and, you know, in our GIS asset base, at that point, we don't go and try to like amortize where somebody is and then try to let them buy it out. We don't have that program currently available. I would say it would take a lot more staff on hand for us to actually be able to maintain something like that. But maybe Mr. Bolarski has more to add to that, but does that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Therefore, I don't have more to add.
Okay.
Member Sperling, did you have any? Okay, thank you. Member Pro?
Yeah, I have several questions with the darn mask here. Item number 1 says approve the changes described. I'm feeling a little bit that I don't have the amount of information I need to approve the changes. So let me ask a couple of questions. First of all, what about some just background information? What kind of differential do you have between the sodium lights and the LEDs in terms of, let's say, cost per month or cost per lumen or something like that?
So I might refer to Kelly. Kelly, do you feel like you could take this one? I mean, we don't really compare lights that are of different types. So we usually compare them one to one.
Right. So the difference in the HPS, let me turn my video on so you can see me. The cost difference in HPS versus LED, they are significantly lower in consumption, but that doesn't mean that they are, well, first of all, HPS lights are becoming non-existent. So that's part of the reason why we did the LED change out. The other part of it is that because they're not available, we had to go with another alternative, and LED lighting has come down significantly over the years. But with all of the changes that have happened because of COVID, the materials, raw materials, metals, the imports, all of that has driven the prices back up. So it's causing it to be more of an issue than what we thought, because of the fact that it would normally go down over time, but because of this upswing, it's costing us a little bit more money to buy the lights.
Well, that's really not what I asked, but in any case, what percentage of your lights are still sodium lights? You know?
Well, we are about 90% done when the ones for the city. So we have about 10% remaining for those. And then in our rental light change out, we are at almost 40%. So 60% of the lights that remain are all high pressure sodium or metal halide.
Well, as you know, a lot of utilities have a very aggressive program of converting away from those. I don't hear in the presentation here, I don't hear a real strong commitment to trying to get customers to convert. How would you comment on that? Do we have a time definite for conversion, or a estimated target or anything?
The original plan was 5 years, and we started in 2018, so we're on target for the 5 years. We've done all of the county, almost all of the city, and the remaining is the rental lights. Originally, the rental lights were going to be handled a little differently, but we've elected to go ahead and do them in the mass change out. And so as the year progresses, we get the city completed, we'll be moving on to start doing the rental light change out. So it's a systematic program that we've been working on, and it is something that we are trying to achieve within that 5-year period.
Right. Okay. And
yeah, I'd like to jump in here in that regard. One of the reasons we're still on target. We actually wanted to try to get this done sooner than that. But one of the original hurdles was, we have a substantial amount of these lights, these street lights, and it provides the basis. It provides some gross profit that literally funds the GFT that goes back to the general government side of the house. And early on, there wasn't a commitment to drop the GFT with the resulting loss in that gross profit. So we danced around for a period of a couple of years in being able to do that. That's why we finished the county long before the city, which was, in my mind, a certain embarrassment. But we are back on track in that regard. But like all things, there's a financial component to this. And I just don't want that to be lost. And I know that you're aware of it. But when you say those types of things, we just don't change on dimes because we do have to care about the financial viability of the utility. So I'll just leave it at that.
Member Crowe, do you have any further
Yeah,
questions?
I just have one follow-up question. We know that the residential rate for electricity is about 11 cents per kilowatt hour. Can you give us an idea of what the charge for this type of lighting is in terms of, cents per kilowatt hour?
So I guess it depends on each light. Each light has a different kilowatt hour that it produces. And so the way we factor that in is we just are multiplying that factor for each light type by the approved energy rate that the budget department works with the city commission to get approved for that year. Does that help?
That's not very transparent, I'm afraid.
Okay. I mean, we have additional resources. You know, we have all the supporting documents. So if you'd like to see more information, I mean, we can certainly provide more.
Well, does the rate structure for this type of lighting fall under, I don't know, commercial or industrial or, it's not residential.
Right. So the rental program, so I'll slide back up here.
Let me just say real quick that
Okay.
the non-demand residential rate is what gets billed based on the kilowatt hours for the month. And so the current rate, I'd have to look it up, whatever the lowest tier is what it's going to be, because none of them exceed the lowest tier rate. So
I understand the question now. Yeah, it's a published rate for whatever category they're in. This is not a streetlight rate.
Right.
So if the category is commercial, then it's the lowest tier of the commercial type category.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's not some sort of special deal where they're, you know, getting it below cost or something?
No.
Okay.
Are you finished with the questions?
I'm through, sir.
Thank you. Member Lewis? I don't have anything. Thank you. Member Davis, you have a question?
No, I just have a suggestion. This is a good example of GRU coming and saying, we need the money, the city needs the money, we haven't gone up on rates in a long time, so let us just go up on the rates. When you could sell it from a different angle, you could explain the background of the 5-year program to convert to LED lights, and that would be a longer-term cost-saving solution. It would use less energy, and we had to sort of drag that out of you. So my suggestion is that you put that in right up front in this presentation and say, here's our long-term objective, which is to do a better job of saving energy, saving money for the citizens.
Are there any other member questions or comments? I have a question, just so I'm clear. This rate structure neither, and this is a response to General Manager Bilarski, this rate structure neither encourages nor discourages the conversion to LED. Is that correct? It would the rate itself, the rate increases are not going to change the rate of transition to LED. Is that correct?
Oh, but my God, you're using so much less. I mean, there's a huge savings in that regard. So, I mean, the very fact that we're facilitating the ability to have an LED is the saving in and of itself.
So
you know, the per megawatt charge, or the per kilowatt charge shouldn't change. It's coming. It's the source from which it's coming.
So for the rental program, can the renters request LEDs to get a lower rate?
I defer to Casey, you know, in terms of how we're handling the conversion of the rentals. I mean, it's been our commitment to get everything turned over. I don't know the process by which they're facilitating that. I don't think somebody calls up and says, change my one pole to LED. I'm not sure.
Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it works is that the customers, if they call and initiate, they have a working light and they call and initiate LED replacement, we would look at that as a new service. We're going to go out there on a one-off, because it could be a one-off property, and do that replacement for them and then charge them the standard rate for that particular LED type that they chose. However, with the mass change-out program, what we're doing is proactively buying materials in bulk and scheduling crews out in grids within the city so that we can more efficiently, at a cost savings, go out there with the MCO program and replace those lighting those lights and now within the rental program as well. But if we're initiating it on a way that we can do the cost savings, then they'll see that cost savings, once we can get to them. If they want to, pay the standard rate, then they could call and have those replaced now. And then because we do have a rate for all of our old lights as well as our new LED lights, there's not really any kind of transition built in to switch from one to the other. That's more based on, our budgets for that program to continue to implement that program via our budgets here within energy delivery.
Okay. I think you answered my question, because what I was getting at, if it's so much less expensive to rent a pole from you with LED, I don't understand why there isn't people knocking down your doors to switch out their lights. And what you're telling me is if they wait, GRU pays for it. If they insist on doing it now, they pay for it, for the rentals.
Yeah, they would have to pay for the same light type, for the same LED light type. If it's part of our MCO program, they'll have a lower monthly rate. If for the same light type, if they call and want us to come do it tomorrow, they'll have the standard rate.
Thank you. Member Jacobson, okay. I think you're next.
All right, and I thought I understood. I just want to clarify. So if I have an LED light, my monthly charge is less than if I have a halogen or whatever the old one was.
Every light type is really treated differently, so it would really depend on what you had before and what you're replacing it with.
But if I'm replacing equivalent lumen, I have this light, my old light, and the high pressure sodium, and I'm going to replace it with an LED.
Right.
Do I pay the same amount per month at that point, or is it?
It would not be the same rate exactly. It could go up or down.
Okay.
It's all based on that particular manufacturer, that vendor, what their pricing is for those particular materials. If you want Kelly to elaborate on, maybe a material question for you.
No,
I thought the question was, yeah, go ahead.
Well, and if you have something to add, I'd appreciate it. But the next part of it, so with these lights, so there's no kilowatt hour charge. It's just, or is there a kilowatt hour charge? Maybe we should ask the question.
So the electric energy rate that is approved, that again is what Mr. Bilarski was referring to, that is, public record, that is approved on and documented. There's that rate that's built into it. On the other hand, we do have the fuel adjustment. There's a fuel cost, to run these lights 12 hours a day. So that continues to be part of the fuel adjustment, part of the pass-through. So that goes up and down with prices of fuel.
Yeah, so I think there's a misunderstanding here, and I think we estimate there's not a meter on each one of these. So we estimate what that light would use, and it becomes part of the billing charge. And again, correct me if I'm wrong here, Casey.
Correct.
So, there's basically an engineering estimate of what an LED would use versus the incandescent bulb. And obviously the usage on the end LED is much less. So is it exact? No, but it doesn't constitute putting a meter on all the, 50,000 poles that we have out there, combined city, rental, and county. It would be cost prohibitive for us to do that. And it's easy enough to figure the hours that these will come on and to extrapolate what that number will be in the usage is made part of the billing. And particularly when you go to LED, it becomes such a small part of it.
And I'm not suggesting metering them. I'm just trying to. So it sounds like, if I heard correctly, part of it's built into the charge, but like the fuel adjustment, because the LEDs using substantially less, would have a much smaller fuel adjustment charge on their monthly bill.
Yes.
Okay.
And I can give an example of what you would currently be paying for our base light, which would be a 100-watt cutoff, and it would be an HPS. The current cost for one of those is $10.95 a month, not including the taxes and the fuel and all of that. But when we do mass change out for that same particular light for a light installation, you're looking at $6.70 instead of the $10.95. So you're seeing a significant decrease in what your monthly rate will be.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
That's for the mass change out.
Well, thank you. That was my original question. Thank you.
Okay.
I have to step in here. We have a situation. Member Lewis just had to leave. She sent me a note. She has an emergency. She has to leave now, and she just got up and left. We no longer have a quorum.
Oh,
Because she was a fourth member voting.
what do we do, Lisa?
I think you're going to need to adjourn.
Really?
You could, you could continue it as an informational meeting only, but there could be no motions. There could be no action taken.
Okay. We're going to continue discussion on this item, but what's the wish of the board? Do we want to continue this information, or do we want to adjourn the meeting? We have one more item after this, that is request to negotiate an extra agreement with Irrigation LLC. And then that's it. We had member comment and citizen comment, next meeting date after that.
Your pleasure, Chair.
I know. Let's continue the discussion now, because we still have questions, and then when we get through all these questions on this item, then I will ask if, I can't ask for a motion because there's no, let's continue this discussion.
Yeah.
I'll make up my mind in the next 10 minutes, whatever. Go ahead and ask, who is next?
Me.
Member Starlingwood, please.
Hi. Now, you're saying that the pole fee is gonna be rolled into the rental light fee, is that what I'm understanding? There'll be no separate pole fee? Or how is that gonna be put together with the new billings?
Could you repeat? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of that.
Are you rolling the rental pole fee into the light fee? Or will the pole fee still be separate?
They're separate. These are very itemized for every different type of pole. You know, whether it's 30-foot wood or concrete or whatever. Every pole and every light has its own type and its own rate.
Right. So, for example, a 30-foot concrete pole, currently I think it's around $650 a month. What would that go to? Would you guys have that information?
Kelly, do you still have that sheet up?
I do. Give me just a second and I'll provide that to you.
Thank you.
And then sometimes folks have 2 or 3 lights on a pole. So all those rental fees would stay similarly the same, just the pole is going up the most? I'm trying to see by the billing here.
So the $650 that you have for the 30-foot concrete pole would go to $2113
a month.
A month.
Do we have any other questions or comments from any other board members? Member Crowe, please.
Well, I would like to see us come back to this topic the next time we meet with a quorum, if that's okay with the GRU staff, if there's no outstanding urgency on a particular date, like presentation to the city commission or some such. But I would say that if we come back, I would like to have an edited presentation that has a lot of these numbers that we've been asking about for the last 15 minutes here. That would really help me a lot. You know, if you go from $675 a month to $1095 a month, or the answers to Ms. Perlingwood's question a minute ago, those kind of numbers would mean a lot, and it would make me feel comfortable about voting one way or the other. Thank you.
I believe this, and I will ask the general manager to respond. Is this matter coming up to the city commission before our next meeting?
You know, I'm not sure. Robin is the one that keeps me in the right mode. I'd ask her.
Our goal was to present to City Commission on the 19th so that these could be effective October 1st.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I could just jump in, this is Robin. all of the items that are on your agenda tonight are scheduled to be on the city commission agenda next Thursday. We have an issue with timing for between your meeting and the city commission meeting. And, you know, with deadlines and all to get things on agendas, I have to go ahead and put these on their agenda so that we don't have a month-long gap in between, you know, in between meetings, because that would significantly slow down our ability to do business. So yes, all of these things on here tonight are currently on the agenda for the city commission, which will be published tomorrow.
Thank you, Robin.
And I need to jump in. These are also part of the budget process, and the budget hearings will be in September. These fees, if they are approved, will go on an ordinance, Appendix A. I believe the first meeting is the first week of September, and then the second is the third week in September. So there is a significant time constraint.
Thank you. Member Jacobson.
Yeah, I appreciate Member Crow's suggestion, and because of the timing, it sounds like it needs to happen. So my suggestion for GRU staff would be to take Member Crow's suggestions for the city commission presentation, just to give them some good concrete examples, just to avoid what you just went through tonight. It's hard for us to get our heads around, as you can tell. Just here's a good standard poll. Let's just run through it.
And I'm going to,
some more examples.
Yeah, I'm going to segue from that. I'm going to second Barry's comments. I think staff has heard some suggestions and questions that might help you prepare for the city commission presentation. Member Davis, Member Crow, Member Spurlingwood all had questions that if perhaps you could try and work those into your presentation, it might be helpful. But we can't make a recommendation now because we don't have a majority. I'm further going to say that there's probably, I know there's staff who's been waiting here to make a presentation. I know that there may be member comments or citizen comments later on. So just to allow other people to speak, I'm going to continue this meeting as an informational meeting, realizing that we can't make any motions, just out of consideration for the people who would like to speak at this time. If the board is okay with that. That's true. So with that understanding, if all my board members are okay with that, let's go on. We can't vote, so we're going to move on to the request to negotiate and execute an agreement with Integration LLC, number 210283. Thank you for your patience.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, if I could ask the attorney to clarify this. I believe if you're going to now have this as an informational meeting, Lisa, do they need to adjourn and then call the meeting to order again?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Robin, do you have the slides for us?
She may have to give permission to herself.
You able to get the slides, Robin?
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted. I had asked for everyone to be prepared to show their own, so let me get them for you. It'll just take me a second. I apologize.
No worries.
What's that old cliche? If anything can go right or can go wrong. You're handling it quite well, Robin. Thank you for.
if it helps, I do have PowerPoint slides. I can just put them on the screen. Can you,
sure.
can you do that? Would that work better for you, Robin?
Yeah, because this has taken me a minute, so
That's fine with
I
us.
apologize, everyone. I should have been prepared for that.
No, we're a team. We'll work together. We'll get it done. All right, Chairman Wheeler and distinguished board members, Kenzon Hutchinson, Interim Chief Customer Officers. We're here to, of course, there's no quorum, but we're here to gain your support in us executing an agreement with our third party CIS project lead replacement. And so just to kind of go down the process, just to give you a little bit of history, GRU, we started the CIS project with AAC as the project lead for our CIS implementation project. And then once the AMI project was approved, we realized that we needed a little bit more expertise to make sure that AMI would be a little be successful as it relates to the integration piece between CIS system and the AMI system. So what we did was we terminated the contract with AAC. And then what we did at that point, we ended up going out and solicited proposals for replacement for AAC. And at that point, we had two proposals that came in. And at that point, we had a group of people across the board that really understands AMI and also CIS. And we had meetings to really go through the grading process. And then we end up coming up with Utegration as the group who excelled out of the actual vetting process. And so what I wanted to add to it is, so as Utegration, they were selected. A few things about Utegration that I think is very important is, one, their strong management leadership skills that I think will be beneficial for us to have a successful project between CIS and AMI. Really strong billing system knowledge and also AMI knowledge, which I think, as I mentioned, is going to be successful for us being successful with both projects. They have much experience with AMI and CIS integration systems, so we thought it was very beneficial, and that's why they emerged as the leaders. Key points to really pull out of this that I think are beneficial in you knowing what we're doing with the project. So Utegration was selected by a cross-functional evaluation team, both AMI team members, energy delivery, customer support services group. Big thing here is we're going to be just utilizing the remaining funds that we allocated to AAC, so we're not expecting any cost difference at this time. And then also they're going to be very beneficial in us being instrumental in us with AMI and the integration piece with CIS. And so we were recommending that you authorize, although we can't make a vote, but we were here tonight to get you to authorize the general manager or support, gain your support in the general manager executing the contract with our third-party replacement.
Thank you.
Hey, could I jump in here for a second?
Yes, sir.
Kenzon?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when you mentioned this, you kind of, and I know where you were coming from, but you were saying, once we got the AMI, we kind of realized we needed to do this. I think it's really important to understand that each one of the projects was approved separately, but for the efficient, implementation of these projects, we're taking that step to make it a combined system that has more strength, if you will, and vitality. And I think it's really a good thing. So that created a need that we're now fulfilling with bringing in that person or group of people that, can really do it well.
Right.
So, this isn't about a mistake, or it's not about anything other than to get the right people at the right place to do the right thing to make it the right product. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, General Manager. Do I have any member comments? Member Jacobson.
Just briefly, I just want to commend GRU staff for, to his point, making the pivot and adjusting to changes and doing it at no additional cost. So, well done.
Awesome.
Do I have any other member comments? Member Crow?
Yeah. The UAB, of course, had a presentation on the AMI procurement. And then there was some discussion about delaying the procurement when there was some budget flakiness. Can you give us sort of a status report of where we stand on the AMI and, its rollout schedule and how we're doing on all that?
I don't know who we have on.
General Manager, would you like to discuss that? You're muted. Ed, you're muted.
I'm more informative that way, Chair. Yeah, I don't think the time frame has changed. We're working toward the integrated solution. So yeah, there's really not anything to advise at the moment. But when we do have additional information, we will come back and kind of bring everybody up to date. Because as you suggest, Member Jacobson, we have to pivot. Might be another pivot here as circumstances change, but that's the nature of these kind of implementations. So we're working, acquiring the resources, filling out the buckets that we talked about filling out. So when we know more, we'll talk to you more about it.
Member Davis.
Just a suggestion that you avoid CSI and AMI and you actually say what you're talking about, because not everyone's going to understand what you're talking about. Beyond that, I think it would be helpful if you pointed out the advantages of moving to these types of systems to the general public and the citizens, because otherwise it just sounds like GRU's here again and it's all about money. So this is not about money, and I would say that if I were you.
I would like to address that. This is not something that we've done tonight. This isn't something we've done 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. We've been working on this for over 3 years at this point and had presentations in the dozens between the UAB and the City Commission. And I understand your concern about the use of acronyms, but at the same time, this was intended not to sell a project because it's already been approved. It was an update of a project. And we lose a lot of folks if we're constantly talking about the good that we're doing as opposed to just following the business practices that we've set out to give you an update. I don't want to become a marketing arm of GRU or a sales arm. I want to become the business arm.
Are there any other member comments? Member Davis.
I would like to respond to that. I think you could use some marketing, some good PR, and I just wouldn't miss any opportunity to point out something that could be to the advantage of the citizens.
Thank you. Are there any other member comments? I would just like to add my 2 cents. I'm concurring with Member Jacobson. I commend staff. You're having to pivot. You are doing so to keep the project moving, and most importantly to all of us, you're doing it at no additional cost. So the way I look at it is you're getting the job done, taking a different path, but you're still getting there. And we can't vote, but I think you've got a pretty good consensus of the board's ideas and suggestions at this point. Member Sperling-Wood?
Is this still using SAP?
Correct.
Are there further board questions? Well, I wish I could give you a recommendation to take the City Commission, but you do, I think, have a sense of the board's, at least the board members' thoughts and feelings on this.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you for your time. Okay, well, let's move on to member comment and then citizen comment, because I'd like to give folks a chance to talk. And do I have any members who would like to speak? Member Crowe.
We had a presentation earlier by a member of the public who talked about the solar project and how it has been delayed. every time I hear this discussion, I always want to see a map of the site, the site vis-a-vis the communities, the city of Archer, the Parker Road, and all these other geographical locations. And I'm wondering if UAB could request that GRU provide us a nice site map to allow us to see in a nice two-dimensional array all these different locations that are constantly being discussed.
Member Crow, if I may, all that information is available online through the county's review of the project, all the plans, all the descriptions. We did have that presentation brought to us by staff when they were proposing it. We reviewed it then with the maps and whatnot. So if you want to look for background information on that project, it is available through the county special use permit online process. And I don't have that off the top of my head. But I think that would provide you with the information that you needed on those particular, that information. Do I have any other member comments? Member Crow, I think you'll be speaking to us, and Member Foltz will be speaking to us at our next workshop on the items that you are bringing back from the APPA. And all the members saw, and I appreciate staff, thank you, Robin, for forwarding an email I had sent to the general manager. I would like to continue pushing for our agendas to discuss and to move forward on city commission requested actions. We had several city commission requested actions coming out of our last meeting, and our board as an advisory board is to come forward. My remaining term on this board, I'm going to be pushing to develop and implement our policy plan and to continue responding to the city commission and their request for things like the fossil gas motions that we had our last joint meeting. I was a little disappointed that we were not able to do so tonight, but I'm looking forward to having those issues on the next meeting agenda next month. Do I have any other member comments?
Could I address that, Chair Wheeler? Could I address that for just a second?
If you would like to do so, Mr. General Manager, please.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry we weren't able to get to some of those items. It doesn't mean that we're not working on them. Part of what we do as an organization is that we have to send that information out to the various departments, and there is a process by which we, literally we call it QA, to get the right people assigned in the right spots. I know it's frustrating to folks that it doesn't happen as quickly as you would like, but it doesn't mean that we're not putting the pieces in place, and we have to do it just like we do any other requests. And at the present time, there's not only, requests from the UAB through the city commission or through the commission through the UAB, but other city commission derived items. And, there's things that I'm working on with the charter officers in regard to the mandatory vaccines and, the other steps that we're taking to ensure safety in the workplace. So I just want to assure you that this is not a stop. This is, we're trying to get the right people to get you the right answers back so that you can make the right recommendations and work with the city commission on the right policy moving forward.
Thank you, General Manager.
If I have a moment.
I will note that this item has been before this board and the city commission since February of this year. I realize you have staff constraints, but I don't see those holding up other agenda items that you're bringing forward to us. I'll also note the policy plan's been working on for over 2 years now, and I guess we need more vetting on that. But I mean, I'm going to continue bringing the city commission priorities forward. The 2045 resolution and other things that they're asking us to do. They're not UAB requests; they are city commission requests for us to act on. Are there any other member comments? Okay, let's go to citizen comments. Do we have anyone in the room who wants to speak? I do not see anybody here. Do we have anybody from outside in Zoom world who would like to speak?
There is nobody on the line at this time.
Well, I'm a citizen, so let me speak to the issue that was brought up earlier.
Are you
my name's
speaking
Ed
as
Villarski.
general manager or speaking as citizen?
Yeah, as a citizen.
Okay. Start the timer, please.
Pardon me?
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to address some of the inaccuracies that were espoused earlier. some of the wonderful work that I know that, the energy supply team has done at DH2. The implication was that we have a lesser product as a result of that. I want you all to know that the retrofit never changed the original rating of the unit at 228 megawatts net on dual fuel. The fuel load testing we're planning on natural gas only would be a second rating for natural gas only. Our boiler was designed for coal, so we expect full load on natural gas only to be less than dual fuel. But we can always at least go to dual fuel load like we always have. We've never told the PSC, and this is important, we've never told the PSC in our 10-year site plan any load rating on natural gas only, as we would not know this until it was tested. So, you have to understand that, I don't like the implication that a member of GRU's team, and this was not mentioned by the UAB whatsoever. I'm talking about a citizen that mentioned that Mr. Brown, who was the salt of the earth for me, did not tell the truth. And I just can't let that go unrebutted. So thank you.
I appreciate those comments, and I second them wholeheartedly. I know the GRU staff has been working on all these things. You have been transparent on all these issues you brought before us. I just say I agree. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager.
Thank
If
you.
there's no further questions, comments, no general member comment, no anything else, I adjourn the meeting. We have our next workshop on August 24th. I'm asking Member Foltz and Member Crow to have something into Robin about what you would like to discuss, since we're asking you to bring your APPA presentations back to us. I will be asking staff for our next meeting, the September 9th, to have some information on rebates. There are a lot of things going on in different municipal cities in Florida with rebates. When staff brought their gas presentation to us, they cited a lot of private gas companies for their comparison. I'd like to start comparing some municipalities like Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Orlando. So I think that there's some great ideas out there, and I'm looking forward to discussing those with you. That's all I have. Thank you all for your time and your patience. I appreciate it. Thank you, staff, General Manager and staff, for hosting us tonight.
Thank you.
Am I still live?